live link because I just didn't know how to use it. So thank you so much, Mr. Man, for coming into the studio. Mixing us everything, Chris. Okay, London Town. So London Town, Black Spiritual Mental Physical Regeneration Show. I just want to big up the North, East, South, West London crew, all the brothers and sisters them in and around the capital, and also our brothers and sisters them locked down in the jails around London Town in and around the suburbs, yeah? Okay, London, we love you on the Genesis Radio, and we just want you to just get knowledge, okay, and just free yourselves, basically. Okay, London Town. Anyway, London Town, live link show tonight, London Town. We have Brother Alex in from the Civil Rights Movement for Justice. Okay, London Town, and Brother Alex is going to be speaking a little bit later on, London Town. Okay, most definitely. And we also have me, okay, your #1 presenter. Okay, Og Briggy. Okay, I just wanted to send a big shout out to Brother Hillary Mohammed. Okay, yesterday I phoned up twice of them, London Town. I wanted to blast them, but you know, I just took it nice and cool. Yeah, but it's all good choice of them crew. Anyway, Brother Hillary, enough respect. Okay, rude boy, and thanks for talking to me anyway. Yeah. Okay. I also want to send a shout out to Brother Lloyd, okay, Brother Lloyd Saxon, also Minnie Muscle, okay, and Mrs. Francis, okay. Just want to send our condolences, yeah, to the Lloyd Francis family, okay. Okay, all the Saxon crews want to send our condolences, yeah, from the Genesis Radio, yeah. Okay, anyway, London Town, we're going to just get straight to the matter today, London Town, and today we're going to be dealing with Project Don't Walk On By. Okay, London Town, also the Brixton bombing, okay. Brother Alex is going to be talking about the man David Copeland, okay, the white chap who basically part of the bomb in the black community, in the Asian community, also in the gay community. Okay, also he's going to be talking about the leader of the BNP, Mr. John Tyndall, that's it, innit? Tyndall? Yeah, Tyndall. Okay, London Town. Anyway, London, the live link number is 07977884840. That's 07977884840. London Town, I have to get used to this number. Okay, I just want to send a big shout out to the Minister Rebel, also the driver, and all of the Genesis crew, man. All I don't know, Metro Love Crow, you know, everybody, man. Okay, we love you all, yeah? Okay, anyway, Genesis Radio 91.6 on your FM dial, the Black Spiritual Mental Physical Regeneration Show. And right now, what we're going to do, we're going to make Brother Alex come in now on the town, introduce himself, and talk a little bit about movement for justice, okay, before we get onto the subject matter, okay? Brother Alex, you want to come over here, brother? Okay, this is Brother Alex, London.
I just want, on behalf of Movement for Justice, send greetings to all the sisters and brothers who are listening tonight. And we hope tonight will be a meaningful discussion about the serious things that are affecting all of our communities, and more importantly, we're starting a community debate about how we're going to respond and deal with this. So I want to make, just a kind of opening up the discussion, talk about what's happened to us over the past year. And I think a lot of people are going to recall the 2-week bombing campaign that our communities faced by the first one was in April the 17th, and on Saturday afternoon someone left a nail bomb which exploded in Brixton Market, injuring loads of people. And then a week later, on the 24th of April, a bomb was left out of a mosque in East London, Brick Lane, and it was only because some brave person put the bomb in his car and drove it to a police station that no one was killed at that time, and it blew Brick Lane up. And then the following Friday, a pub called the Admiral Duncan, a gay pub in Soho, was nail bombed Friday evening, killing 2 people, one of them a pregnant woman, and injuring tens of people who are still in hospital today. And I think I remember coming out of Brixton Station when the bomb went off in Brixton, and I saw people outside, and everyone was in shock, like wondering what's happened, who's bombed our communities, what's this all about? And I think for us to understand why this bombing campaign has happened, is we've got to put it in context. We've got to go back almost a year, because I think we've got to look back in the history that led up to this bombing campaign to understand what's going on. Now, last year, as a lot of people know, there was a Stephen Lawrence inquiry, and that had a big impact on a lot of people, because the government and the establishment knew they had to deal with the Stephen Lawrence murder. They couldn't just brush it aside. But what they wanted to do is have a few bit of criticisms, show the community that, oh, we're listening to you, what you're feeling, and then close everything down. But unfortunately, the people didn't sit there and wait. When their response, they turned up, when the murderers turned up and surrounded the building, thousands of people turned up, and a whole can of worms was opened. And for the first time, I think, in a long time, you know, our experience, our daily experience was nationally accepted of racism, of police brutality, of corruption, and all the other stuff. And the word institutionalized racism was on everyone's lips across the country. And the police were on the defensive, they were in damage limitation mode, you know, and they were on the attack all the time. And I think that had a big impact. And it doesn't matter what the government did with the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, that impact hasn't gone away, because now our experience has been verified. We don't have to convince people that police are racist, that we suffer from racism and all the other stuff daily. Now, what happened at the end of Stephen Lawrence inquiry was a big backlash. And the backlash came from the institutions themselves, the government. They refused to sack Paul Condom. Everyone knew that Paul Condom should be sacked because he's responsible for what's been going on. But the government was more concerned about the morale of the police than they were about the justice for our communities. The government was also introducing the asylum bill, which is promoting racism, targeting asylum seekers, and blaming them for the situation we're in. The media went on overdrives, going on about how Macpherson's a loony left because he come up with all these proposals, etc. And the media gave, you know, we'll be balanced, gave the 5 murderers airtime on talk radio and then on national TV. And what that did is it gave all the racists that have been quietened and forced under the stones where they come from, started to feel, oh, we've got folk heroes. These people are our heroes, and they were allowed to give airtime and spread their, you know, that we murdered. Everyone knows they are guilty of murder of Stephen Lawrence, and they were treated like celebrities and folk heroes for the racist. And then the police start carrying on about how street crime's been going up now because they're too scared to stop black people, you know, because of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, and again stereotyping us for street crime. All this had a real impact because it created the climate where the racist and the fascist can feel they can start to organize. Okay, this is the time we can come onto the scene and start to clear up and recruit all these racists. And that's why the bombing campaign started in April. Now, you know, a lot of people saying, oh, it's some mad person, doesn't know what he's doing. You know, I remember in Brixton they were saying, oh, the man was going to Streatham on the bus, and he got off the bus and threw the bomb aside. You know, they're just making out that it was just an accident or some crazy person. But if you look at those dates, the 17th of April, that's a few days after Hitler's birthday and the anniversary of Stephen Lawrence. If you look at what the 24th, that was the of April, that was the Brick Lane bombing. That was the day of the demonstration of Blair Peach. Blair Peach was murdered by police officers 20 years ago to that day. There was an anti-fascist demonstration that was trying to stop the NF from organising that time. And then you look at the bombing at the Admiral Duncan pub in Soho. That is the anniversary of Hitler's death. So there's a real connection there. And then the 3 areas that were bombed, they weren't accidental. Brixton is seen as one of the hearts of the black community. You know, Brick Lane is the heart of the Asian community, and Soho is the heart of the gay community. So there was a plan behind all of this. And these communities, these 3 communities, the black community, the Asian community, and the gay community, have had a long history of persecution, but also, more important, they have a long history of resistance. All of those communities have fought back in their different ways, and I think that's what's significant about this. So I just want to say about the media response to the bombing, because I remember, you know, that evening I was coming home, I was in shock. You know, my mum shops in Iceland, and I thought she might be in there. You know what I mean? I was, you know, it was a shocking thing to happen. You think Brixton is safe, or your areas is safe, your own community is safe. And when I heard on the TV how people were saying They said, oh, we don't know what the motive is. It's a diverse. They wouldn't say a black community. They kept saying diverse community, and everything's going to be back to normal. Don't worry. You know what I mean? All the politicians were quickly running to kind of downplay everything. And on the Monday, I remember I was walking in Brixton, and there was this ITM reporter doing his report, and it was on live TV, and he was going on, and I just cussed him out. I said, how can you do that? It's racist. Everyone knows it's racist. This is not a motorist crime or anything. It's a racist crime. And he goes after me and said, oh, look, we've got to play it down. This is what he said to me, and other journalists have confirmed this. We've been told that we've got to play the race down because there might be a riot. So the establishment and the police knew it was racist and planned from the start, but they wanted to play it down because they were more concerned about containing our response and containing us as a community than dealing with the real issue. Now, we felt very much that, oh, we can't sit back and wait. The police were saying, oh, sit back and wait, we'll deal with it. I said, no, we can't. We're getting our places bombed. And by the third bombing, it was quite clear what was going on. And we said the communities, all the different communities, need to come together and come onto the streets and make it very clear to the government, to the police, and to the fascists, and any other racists who think are getting ideas, that we're not going to take this standing down. And we organised this march with other groups from Brixton on the 1st of May. And we marched all the way to Compton Street, to the site of the third bombing. And that was very important that we come together and made that stand. And for the first time I saw Asian people, you know, black people, gay people, white people coming together. You know what I mean? There's a sense that these three bombs gave us a service, in a sense. It's kind of, you know, brought those communities together in some united struggle, and I think that's what was very important. Now I want to talk about David Copeland. Now he was arrested on the 1st of May, right, 2 weeks, and in some little village in Hampshire, and the police, and obviously the police knew that it was a fascist, because how else would they get hold of someone in such a remote place? And Copeland was arrested, and as soon as he was arrested, all in the media, all in the police statements, oh, he's mad, he's crazy, he's a lone person, and he's got some psychological problem. You know, like, oh, it's nothing about any planned political attack, it's just some individual person who had some problems, blaming the mother as usual, you know, and they say, oh, it's the upbringing and the mother and whatever. Now, what happened after that is obviously clearly the three bombs were planned. You can't say that those three communities were accidentally targeted. And the police were threatening the press. And how we found out about that was the Mirror on the 24th of May put out photographs in a newspaper with the Copeland, the accused bomber, standing behind John Tyndall, who is the main leader of the BNP, which the BBC broadcast during the European elections, I might add. And that picture, and it was saying the link, basically that was in 1997, there was a public BNP meeting in Stratford in East London, and us and a few other people, anti-fascists, turned up and broke that meeting up and gave John Tyndall one good lick. You see the blood on his face. We blooded it, and you know what happened? I mean, all his rabble run off and leave him, and that bomber, Copeland, was the only person to stay. And they got pictures of him standing behind Tyndall. And then we find out that Copeland was the BNP organizer for East London. So that was all a big, you know, that was a big scandal. You imagine, it was all front page. Next day, no other paper took it up. It was all quiet, like it never happened. And we found out from reporters that the police had called the editors of all the press and threatened them to take them to court and prosecute them if they dared repeat the story in the Daily Mail. So clearly we know that the establishment knows the fascist links. And we went to the court hearing, this first remand court hearing on the 7th of June at Bow Street Magistrate Court in Covent Garden. And we were waiting there, and the defence got up before Copeland was in the cells underneath. And the defence says, oh, Copeland is not very well. He's suffering big panic attacks. You know, he's receiving psychiatric treatment, and he doesn't feel that it can come up in the open court and face the court to get remanded. And the prosecution said, this sat quiet. And the judge says, okay, I'll go down to the cells. When have you heard that the judge will take himself out and go down to the cells and hear the remand case in his cells? And we know what's been happening. The defense lawyers are doing their job. They're going to, you know, they're going to say he's mad and he's receiving psychological treatment. And I think that what's the problem is the prosecution is carrying on with that line. And I think it is a cover-up. And I think the reason why we've got to be exposing this cover-up is that is that Copeland is a fascist. And what happened was a fascist campaign and a political organised campaign against us. There's no question about that. And the other thing is about that. Oh, hold on a second. And the truth has got to come out about this, because what's the danger about this situation is how the establishment is trying to recover from the impact of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry. Is that they're trying to present racism as a question of of sick individuals, that somehow it's a matter of individuals who have personal defects or psychological problems, or it's individual police officers, or it's unconscious, unconscious racism. And really, racism isn't that. Racism is the response of a sick society. Racism is prevalent in the society. It's conscious. It's not an unconscious thing. It's not a matter of individuals. It's the whole institutions, or every institution, the government, the police, the courts, education, every area of life is riddled with racism. And what's further than that, they promote racism in society. Because one of the things that police are trying to say is, oh, well, we just reflect racism in society, racism's in the police force. Yeah, well, that's just because the police are just representatives of society. Well, that's not true, because we know the government has been promoting racism around asylum seekers, you know what I mean? It's making out that they are, and they're talking about black people, that we're second-class citizens, and there's going to be a limit of how many people can come into this country if you're black. And all this stuff about street violence and muggings and stuff, and that stereotyping, that is promoting racism. It's not simply just reflecting from society, it's promoting. And I think it's very important we realise what's the real situation. Now, the problems we face, and in one sense, the big problem for us, and a lot of black people think, oh, for the first time, is that we heard of the BNP, but, they had skinheads and they kind of had marches sometime outside, nothing to do with us, I mean, and then I think a lot of people were just shocked, especially a lot of black people. I think the Asian community were more, because they were used to that, because the fascists have been organising in the area for a long time, but not in Brixton and not in Soho as well. People think, well, who are these people? It was a shock, and I think we've got to get over the shock. But it's not the individual fascists that are the real problem. We've got to deal with not just the individuals and the symptoms, we've got to deal with the cause. And we've got to deal with the whole society that breeds the racism and creates the conditions where these scum can start to organise and commit their terrorist acts against us. And what's the important thing it needs now is that there needs to be a community response. A community response to this. While we're sitting down talking about it in our homes, then these people are out there organising and the establishment is laughing at us. We've got to get out there and start to respond. I just give a couple of things, and I know people want to come and talk in, so I want to go through the whole picture of things. Just after the bombing, and I think just before the bombing, there was a group called White Lightning. It's a group, a racist, fascist-linked group based in Surrey, and it was issuing racist letters to black residents, particularly in the Peckham, Brixton and Woolwich area, and they're coming in the middle of the night and just placing it through people's doors or on their cars or whatever. And one of the things we're saying was, the police said, oh, we're checking what's going on, just keep quiet. And we're saying, no, we can't leave it at that. So we were putting out flyers and posters around saying, talk to your neighbours, find out what's going on, keep a vigil, and if we can watch our neighbourhoods, if we see them, we'll catch them when it actually happens, and then we'll drive them out and send them packing. And that's the kind of community response we needed to this. But it goes on more than this. It goes on more than this, because we've got to deal with what's going on the ground generally. And that's why it's a matter of civil rights. We're talking about there needs to be a civil rights movement built in this country. It is a matter of civil rights in this country, and it's about genuine equality. It's not about laws. They've got laws against racism. They've got laws against murder. They've got laws against harassment. But that doesn't stop racist murder, racist harassment. It's not about legal equality. It's about equality in reality in our daily lives. And it seems to me the only way we're going to do that is if we respond ourselves. And I do think the big question tonight, we can talk about the bombing, but the real question is, what are we in our different communities going to do now to respond to this? Thank you very much.
Okay, London Town, a full introduction there from Brother Alex. Okay, London Town, if you want to get involved in the conversation tonight, London Town, the live number is 079 7788 4840. Yes, 079 7788 4840. Okay, London Town. So Brother Alex here, most people, like, it's only like when you just said a minute ago, when you mentioned like the BNP and everything, yeah, most people just think, right, friend, it's a skinhead, a person in the boots, thug racist, yeah? But is there like a political side to them? And could you give London Town like a breakdown to that, the whole structure of how they actually work?
Yeah, yeah, I want to give you some, because we need to understand it's not simply the mistaken view that the fascists were kind of like, you know, that these are people that got a lot of hatred in themselves, but the fascism is a political movement, and the first fascists were actually in Italy in the 20s, and again you had Hitler, and what they do is, and they have a program, and it differs different countries. What they do is they attempt to organize the most reactionary and prejudice, all the deepest prejudice that society creates. They use that as a program to organize, and they're trying to, in a sense, what that fascism is an organization that tries to, it organizes, it creates, you know, the divisions that we have amongst the poor and the working class people. It kind of feeds on that in a sense of trying to stop our effectiveness in uniting. So in Germany, for example, which is that the fascists came to power after to prevent the workers taking power themselves, and they fed on all the prejudice like the anti-Jewish and stuff like that. And in this country, it's basically fascism feeds off. Originally, it was the immigration. You know, the government in the 60s were promoting all these anti-immigration stuff and flooding the country, and the fascists kind of feed off all the different prejudices and blame. You know, say, oh, the real problem is not not society and the way society is run, but it's your neighbor, your black neighbor, or your gay neighbor, or your Asian person, or the immigrants. That's the problem. We need to fight amongst themselves, and that's how they build themselves. So they have a political program, and I think, you know, I don't know if people saw the BNP broadcast, you know, and you had Tyndall there dressed in a little suit, talking about European and we're for the British, you know what I mean? And then, but the other side of that, you know, he's trying to present himself as presentable. The person who was his press officer was a BNP organizer who has a history of bomb making and criminal convictions. The other side of that is organizing gangs of terror. And so that's why the fascist movement at the moment, over the kind of mid-90s, kind of went through a big decline. It started to break up, and started to kind of disintegrate. And they're starting to come back together. And the fascists have links in Germany, across Europe, and in America. And the way they organize is that they have the BNP stuff, but they also organize cells. So when they say, oh, Copeland's working by himself, that doesn't say he's not part of the fascist movement, because that's how they organize. You know, they organize cells individually. So if you get caught, you can't incriminate anyone else. They're told what to say. You know what I mean? And it's a terrorist type of campaign. So their aim is to terrorize the communities that represent the real threats to the status quo. Like the black community represents a real threat to the status quo in this country. The Asian community, the lesbian gay community. So that's their reasoning.
Okay, brother, yes. Going back to Copeland, yeah. I mean, most people see him like a 22-year-old brother, yeah, manipulated, yeah, by the BNP to do whatever he's doing, yeah. Right? Could you give us a little insight on David Copeland?
Well, I mean, I don't know about his psychological state, and that's not the issue. But Copeland, as I said before, was a leading member of the BNP. Is a leading member of the BNP and the fascist right. He was the organizer in East London, and I think around the early 90s, etc. Now, if you remember, I don't know if people remember what happened in East London, what was going on. The BNP won a council seat in the Isle of Dogs. There've been murders, particularly of the Asian community. The Bengali community in East London is under siege by these fascist organizations. And they've been conducting terroristic campaigns of murder, beating up, harassing, firebombing. And this guy was head of that branch that was responsible for all that terroristic activity in that area. And the fact that the picture, and we've got posters we're going to circulate, will show that he was standing behind his leader while the rest of the rank and file run off when we beat them, shows that he's a serious member of that group. So he's a serious member. So he's not, we can't look at him as being someone who's a crazy person acting by themselves, or someone who's just been manipulated. Because we've got to remember that the fascists are a political organization. It's a political movement. It's not crazy people or a religious sect. They have an objective and an agenda on themselves, which he's fully committed to.
Okay, London Town, the Black Spiritual Mental Physical Regeneration Show. Genesis 91.6 on your FM dial, London Town. Phone in London Town and have your say. Okay, the live at number 079 77884840. Don't forget the show finishes at 12 o'clock now, London Town. At 1 o'clock no more, so boy, let's get your views. Because phone in and say we got to say London Town, yeah? Okay, 079 77884840. Okay, London Town. Oh, so Brother David, hear me, I'm there. Oh, sorry. Okay, Brother Alex, I have to give the man enough respect still, yeah, for actually going down to the BNP meeting and rushing this brother and blooding him up, because he does look a bit bad up there. I'm saying, most of these gangsters and thugs, you know, who's supposed to be in the black community, they're not going down these places there. And I have to say respect for the man to actually have the courage to go down there and deal with the matter. Because most black people don't want to go to BNP meetings, or they won't go there and stop it and have their say. Why do you reckon that is?
I think for a lot of black people specifically, I think the BNP haven't been targeting the black community. They've been mainly targeting the Bengali and Asian community in this country. In a sense, it has been, I mean, they did, the BNP was a split from the NF in the 70s, and the NF, I think a lot of people know about the NF, and they did target us, and there was a long history of where we resisted and fought back. But I think people don't understand what these fascist groups are, and also it's very, you know, if you're under siege directly, then you can respond. But if it's something out there somewhere else and you just hear about it, you know they don't like black people or whatever, but it's not affecting your daily life, then it just becomes a bit abstract. But the other thing is, I think the main thing that affects, you know, I mean, obviously different communities are affected by different things, and I think for the black community specifically, the big issue is police harassment. That's something that we confront every single day. You know what I mean? That and racism in the education and employment and at work and all those other things, and they're the things. And I think there has been we've gone through a lot over the 80s, and you know, from my political life, when I became politically conscious over the 80s and 70s, we've gone through one defeat after another. You know, deaths in custody, one murder after another. Nearly every year, almost nearly every 6 months, there's someone being murdered. The constant police harassment, and we're all fighting. Everyone's fighting, you know, by themselves, and it's kind of been tiring. And I think what's changed, I think, now is that the Stephen Lawrence inquiry did have an impact on us. I mean, it hasn't, you know, the inquiry hasn't delivered that, and we knew that wasn't going to happen. But it kind of put our issue on the public agenda. And the real question now is how can we respond? How can we respond effectively? I think people want to know, okay, we all want to fight racism, but how are we going to do it? What's it going to take? And, you know, people agree with the civil rights movement, but they kind of, people think, well, civil rights movement is something like, oh, we need some individual leader up there who can speak nice and is educated and looks respectful, and we can just wait for them to deliver it. And that's never going to happen. It's what we can do, and it's finding ways. And us in the Movement for Justice, one of the things we feel is that we've got to practically build that movement in our community. It's what we do as a community, how we respond, that's going to determine things. And one of the big things that we're launching during the summer, and we've been doing over the past 2 years, is the Don't Walk On By campaign. And I think that's very important. What we have is, you know, we're trying to deal with the everyday occurrence of racism when it actually happens. And what's the light going on for? Okay. Trying to deal with every situation, you know, when the racism actually happens. And what we're trying to do is, you know, when the police stop us in our community and they, you know, pull us out of our cars or pull us against the wall in the street, and you know, and harass us and stop and searching us. A lot of people feel intimidated by that. It's not just the person being stopped, but the people watching it feel intimidated because the police are trying to say, look, we can come into our community and we can do what you like, you know, what we like to you. And what we're trying to do is saying, well, when you see someone being harassed, don't walk on by. Stop and find out what's going on. Even if it's just giving that person, we have a legal rights card with legal numbers and basic legal rights, giving that person being stopped a legal card. We've got to show that person being stopped that they're not by themselves. And we're going to show the police that anytime you come and stop us, you're going to be watched. And people are not going to walk on by and allow you to do this. Now that's the type of response we need. And we can build it up now. Everyone who's listening to this show can do that. We're not asking people to go out and do things they can't do. When you see someone being stopped, you can stop. and ask what's going on. Even if you just kind of hang around the edges, and then once one person stops, other people start stopping then. And then before you know it, you've got a little crowd going, and you don't have to intervene. You know, you have to judge a situation when how it happens. Sometimes I've stopped people going straight into it and pushed by the police. Said, "Oh, you're okay? What's going on? Where you're harassing it?" Sometimes you think, I can't quite do that now. So I stand by the edge and I just mutter, just you know, what's going on as racism and like this. And you carry on like that, just loud enough. You're not directing to them. Then you find that someone stopped behind you. And before you know it, it's 4 or 5 people standing around. And the police start looking, then you said the police start feeling worried. Oh, what's going on? We're being watched. And that kind of thing that we can do now, that's the kind of movement, because I think people raised with us about, oh, we need a leader, we need someone up there who can deliver things for us. And they look at the civil rights movement in America, you know, and they look at, Martin Luther King, and they look at Malcolm X, and, you know, he was there and he formed the civil rights movement. But if you actually check what actually happened, that's not what happened. What actually happened, it was ordinary people like Mrs. Parks, who sat on a bus, you know, tired because she'd been cleaning some white person's house, some rich white person's house, was tired, and she sat on the bus. She paid her fare, and she sat on the bus. And then this white person asked her to stand up because they're white and they have the first reserve for seats. And she just said one day, "No, I've had enough. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stand up. This is my seat. I've got here. I paid for it," right? And it was people like her that started the civil rights movement. It was the school students. I was reading some stuff around the school students who, by themselves, they had enough of the schools that they've been set in, the kind of rough schools and the bad conditions and the way they've been treated like criminals, like inmates almost, right, and the segregation. And they organised occupations. They occupied the halls and the libraries and things like that. And that's what brought in the civil rights movement in America into place. It was the hundreds of thousands of ordinary people who said, "No, I've had enough of this," and so there's going to be a stop and I'm going to do something about it. And it was that Martin Luther came into. That movement was created first. It was Martin Luther and the other leaders that came into that movement. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of civil rights movement we need to represent today. And that's how we see it. You know, obviously leaders come from the civil rights, it comes from the community. There are hundreds of people. Everyone who's listening here today has a leading role to play in this movement. You know, you don't have to have a degree and go into college. You don't have to sit on important committees and do all that. It's the ordinary people, because the civil rights movement is based on the community itself, organising itself, and the people best doing that are the people in the community, living in the community. And I think that's the thing we've got to get across to people now, because I think I have a sense that people are sitting going, "Oh, we had the Stephen Lawrence inquiry and this and that, and that's been good," and they're talking and talking amongst ourselves. But there's a kind of like, let's wait. We need to look for someone else to deliver justice for us, and I think we've got to be a stop for that. Because I tell you one thing, because I do think I'm quite positive about the situation. I was at the Stephen Lawrence inquiry during the mobilisations, and I remember, and I was telling Briggy last night, I remember when the murderers turned up, and we knew very well that there's a lot of people want to turn up for that, because they want to be there in the public and face these people, you know, and say, make it very clear, you know, your days are numbered or whatever. And the lawyers in the inquiry have been pleading with this judge, look, you need to, you know, open up the hall around the corner and put a video camera and all this business, because there's going to be a lot of people. And the judge said, no way, we're not having no video link up, no audio link up, nothing. In fact, on the day, the judge ordered the reduction of seats, public seats. Now, we turned up there, and there was a queue. We had a little demonstration, and there was a queue, about 300 or 400 people waiting, and the people saying, "Oh, 10 at a time," and people were muttering at us. And we said, "No, we've got to turn this queue into a demonstration to demand our right to enter that." And we got up there, and the whole demonstration. I remember standing up on the barricade saying, "No," we were shouting, "Let us in! This is the public inquiry. Let us in. We're not going to." And I saw light in people's eyes. I've never seen it. It was like almost seeing some of the programs I've seen on civil rights, the people fighting there, the confidence, and everyone standing together. And within an hour and a half, the inquiry had to adjourn itself, and at 2 o'clock it had to re-adjourn, and the video camera was set up, and everything was set up, and we won that game. And you saw people who didn't know each other talking to each other. There was a sense of real strength in that. We'd gained that little thing, our right to access. And then it meant the next day 1,000 people turn up, and they weren't. This time they were into dealing with the murderers when they came out, and they surrounded the whole of the building. They kept the murderers in the building, you know, almost, you know, for 2 hours before they could come out. And then when they came out, they surrounded and sent them off, you know, in the way they should have been. Now, we saw that and we thought, there's a consciousness change in us, and there's a chance for a movement to be built, because I can see the potential in that. But we can't wait, because while we're waiting and deciding, to do this, the fascists, the government, and all the other people are organising already. They're not waiting for it, because they know very well the danger faced in the resistance from our communities. And in a sense, they're not waiting for us to decide. They're starting setting things up. They've brought up all the leaders. You hear them. They're all in these committees with the police. I've mentioned them. Lee Jasper, for one person, people know him. It's not, he's on these committees. All these community leaders, self-appointed, they're all in these meeting with at New Scotland Yard once a month, talking about cooperation. The government's trying to corrupt all these leaders. Even I don't know if people heard last week that Ross Howe, who has been advising the Lawrences, has been given a seat in the House of Lords for her services rendered, quieten things down, stay respectable, meet with the government, don't call people onto the streets, you know what I mean? And look what her advice has gone. Those murderers are still on the streets, free, you know what I mean? So I think for us, I think it is really, we deal is how can we build a movement ourselves? What is it going to take? What are the things can we really do? And I think that don't walk on by is the start of that. I mean, I think there's a lack of confidence, and I think we've got to build a confidence.
Lack of confidence, brother. Also, loads of the bum systems out there don't even know their basic civil rights. So really, even being stopped by the police, you've got to kind of know your stuff, brother, because if as soon as you start giving the slang and stuff like that, that's it. They're taking you away. You know what I mean? So can you just give London Town a little brief, go over, like, basically if you get stopped, things, what you can say, and just tell London Town basically about their civil rights anyway.
Now, we have we're producing a short booklet, in fact, and it's going to come out in a couple of weeks' time for the summer, and it's got basic your legal rights. It's got a pencil with it, so you can write down. It's got spaces where you can write, the police's number and stuff like that, and their numbers and their vehicle numbers, etc. And you also, if there's witnesses, you can get their phone numbers. And it's got also bus cards with legal numbers, so you get a lawyer. But basically, when a policeman stops you, the basic right is that you've got to answer their questions, but you don't, but you can give them your name and address and date of birth. That's basically what they ask. If they arrest you, you don't say anything. The main thing is with the police is that you stay calm. But if you know your rights, it's easy to stay calm. And if people are around you and people you see, because the worst thing is, yeah, it's all good. You feel confident. Okay, there are my people around me. So it's two coppers stopping you. It's 2 against 1. Then you see behind you, even if they're not coming in to talk to you, but you can see them and they're kind of some way away, but they're watching you and looking you in the eye. It's eye contact. That gives you the confidence. So that's why I say it's very important, even if you're not saying anything, that if you see someone being arrested, that's part of civil rights, because you can know your rights. But if you're not in a powerful position to exert them, then knowing all your rights doesn't mean a thing. And what we want to do is that there's a play. The police use a tactic where they stop you. There's two of them and onto you, and they create a psychological environment where they're powerful and you're weak. And what we're trying to do is turn the table so that you can assert your rights. I think taking the police, I always say, oh, I want your number, and take the number, even though I'm not going to do nothing about it. Just to give them a sense of I'm watching you. And if you see someone else, are you witnessing this? And you bring other people into it, so they're dealing with a whole crowd of people. Now, obviously, you've got to stay calm, and obviously, if they do arrest you, then you have to not say a word. It's no point saying a word, even if they offer you a caution, because if they offer you a caution, that means you're admitting guilt. And that will come up later. There's no question about that. And so I think that's the fundamental thing. And people should call up. If they want the civil rights booklet and bus card and don't walk over by, they should call this number. Which one is it? This one there? This one here. 07977 88 4840. That's 07977 88 4840. Now, one thing I just want to raise now is another aspect of, because the police are going on the offensive. They're going on about, they're blaming us now. The street crime is rising now since the Stephen Lawrence inquiry because police officers are too scared to stop black people. Well, I don't know about that. But what's happening now, and I don't know, in the Lambeth area, I don't know if people have been checking this, is that the police, as a new policy to fight street crime, in our area, what they're doing is they have a van and they have police officers with a video camera, and they're driving around the area, and if they see someone that's had a previous criminal record, they're jumping out the van and filming them in their face, basically filming them and following them around, basically harassing them, and they're basically saying, you're not, because you've had a previous criminal record, you should stay at home, you've got no rights to be on the streets in our community. And in fact, one person, this is harassment, that is harassment. I mean, if I went round sticking video cameras into people's face, I'd be arrested as a stalker and an assault, that's an assault on someone. But when someone objected to this, he got arrested. And we know there's people out there that are being subject to this type of harassment. This is what's happening in our community. They're blaming for the, you know, I mean, I live in Brixton, and all the money that's been going in from the government is going on to fancy shops that none of us can afford to pay for. All these fancy restaurants, which are all like, you know, the food's rubbish, you can't even eat it, it's not even proper food, but I mean, and all that. And it's for people from outside who are getting all the money, all the privatisation of the council services. There's people in the suburbs, these cowboy contractors are raking all our money. And our community, what they're doing, our community is running down. If you see the estates, you know, the repairs are not being done, there's no employment, nothing's going, you know, the community is running down, and what the police are preparing for are blaming us, saying that, you know, the running down of our communities is our fault, and what the really issue is street crime and etc. But the real street criminals that we're talking about are the police themselves. So we're going to the next police consultative committee on the Tuesday the 6th of July at 6 o'clock at the town hall, and we want people to turn up because we're going to make it clear to the police that we're not accepting this, you know, this thing, and we want it stopped, and we want those videos destroyed, and we want those police officers who are responsible for harassment prosecuted. So I think there's a call coming in now.
No, it's not cool. Okay, what's the matter, London town? No questions to ask. What I'm London? Okay, what I'm community? What I'm scared for talk? Okay, 07977884840. 07977884840. Brother Alex, he's got enough information in London town. It just needs to be tapped out of him, London town. It's all about you. That's why we have these shows for you to phone in basically London town and ask the brothers questions. Comprendo? Okay. London town once again, 07977884840. Okay, brother. Yeah. So back to this David fella now. Yeah. So what's gonna end up happening with this David character?
Well, he's been put on. He's due up for another court hearing on the 5th of July, which is a week tomorrow, and they're going to remand him, you know, for 4 weeks at a time, as they usually do, and then there's probably going to be a full court hearing, probably in the autumn. It seems to me that the prosecution want to try and make it into the court's hearing to start in the winter, so it kind of is far away from when it happened, and hopefully people are not going to be responding. But people are turning up to the court hearing, because it's very important that we go down there and show what's going on, and expose the cover-up. Because I think what's happening now is he's in that Bulmarsh prison. So it's a psychiatric prison. Yeah, Bulmarsh. Belmarsh, that's right. That's it, Belmarsh.
Hear that? Belmarsh call him there, and the jail, we don't know. Go on, sorry, go ahead.
So he's in there at the moment, getting treatment for his panic attacks, and obviously the defence are preparing a thing that he's psychologically damaged, and therefore it's an undiminished responsibility, something like that, isn't it? So that's what's going to be defence. It looks like unless we make it a big issue publicly that this guy is an organised fascist, and we want him trialled, you know, we want the evidence of his links with the BNP to be brought as part of the prosecution, then that's not likely to happen. But I think it is going to, we have a chance of prosecuting him. But obviously if he gets sent down, I think he's going to get sent down, you know, he's going to get sent down for a long time. But the main point that's going to happen is with him is if there's no community response to this atrocity, then other fascists and other racists are going to learn from that. Say, oh, okay, we can do this now. We can do not necessarily bombing, but they can do the petty harassment, the targeting of individuals in our homes, you know, and stuff like that. So I think that's the important thing. So anyway, on the week on Monday, it's 9:30 at Covent Garden. It's at the Bow Street Magistrates Court. We're going to have a demonstration out there, and we're going to be demonstrating every time he's in court. and then when the hearings are, we're going to organise that, as well as, you know, Don't Walk On By, and building up the whole kind of community kind of response to all aspects of racism over the summer. So we're planning that. We're hopefully having a carnival, a float, not an all carnival, a justice kind of float, you know what I mean, to try and give a sense to this carnival that, you know, there's issues in our community that needs to be brought up. It's not just a fun day out. So that's the situation. You know, come in.
Okay, London town. Once again, London community. What go on, sir? What, sir? What? I can't believe you ain't got nothing to say. 07977884840. What do you think about the whole situation, London town? Come on, what do you reckon that we should do? Come on, some ideas. You know, talk, feedback. You know, live link. London. Okay. Anyway, the Black Spiritual Mental Physical Regeneration Show, Genesis 91.6 on your FM dial. London, we're most definitely here for you. Okay, so okay, London town, it's all about you, you know. Okay, so Brother Alex here, bring your Brother Alex back. So Brother Alex here, so what do you think about even this situation now? Man, you know what I mean? What's going on?
No, I just think it's a big subject to deal with, and I think I have a sense that people are thinking the response I got from people, particularly in the last couple of weeks, has been really good. You know what I mean? People coming up, asking what's going on. They're really interested about the BNP link, and they're asking a lot of questions about that situation and finding out, shocked about the, that this is an organised campaign. This is not an accident or a deranged individual. That this could be a political group could be planning this type of bombing campaign against us. But I think people are still. There's a sense that people feel very isolated in their own communities. Isolated in their own communities, and they feel, I don't know, and someone should call in and say, I know there's some movers justice people out there, so you best get on the phone and call me, because I'll see you tomorrow, and there'll be some real trouble. But there's some movers justice people out there I know got to call in, and I've got Brother Victor calling them up now. It might be something wrong with the line, so you should check that.
So we can't get one test London town to even see if this line's working right. Okay, 07977884840. Okay, London town, once again. Okay, it's ringing. Okay, we're gonna test this line in London town, yeah? Okay, okay. No problem. No problem with the live link London town. So boy, okay, we got a live link. Yeah. Okay, London town, yeah. We're going to take this live link, yeah? Hello, Genesis Radio? Hello, Genesis Radio? Okay, we missed that call. Okay, the caller, would you like to call back again? 07977884840. Gets you straight through to Genesis, and you can just say whatever's on your mind. Okay, you may even be... all right, we're going to take this call anyway, yeah? Hello, Genesis Radio?
Hi, Sandra from Copeland.
Hi, how you doing, Sanj?
Not too bad. I just tuned in, you know.
Okay, sis.
I'm just checking your line.
All right, nice one, Sanj. So everything sounds clear out there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no reasons for anyone. Okay, so what do you think about what Brother Alex is saying so far, anyway, sis?
Well, to tell you the truth, the only thing I can suggest is that we get our own political party up and running, and black people get down, Nubian people get down here. See what's going on and what we can do for our own community. Because that's what it's all about. We can't be, I think for years we've been looking at white people to do something for us, and at the end of the day, they ain't doing anything for us. And that's about the basic bottom line. If we don't do for self, then, and at the end of the day, all I see is integration. It's okay to be sleeping with this person and, you know, making all these children of colour. And at the end of the day, we've got to go back to our roots, you know. Not to say that our roots can't go forwards because we're living in the 20th century. I don't mean, you know, go back and, you know, cooking old pots and all the rest of it. You know, we've got to do for self. Yeah?
Okay, so what about even combating these races? What do we do? What do you reckon, sis?
Well, what can we do?
Yes.
You know, the only thing is, like I said anyway, it's down to the education of your children. From you educate your child about self, then at the end of the day, you know, we can combat all these races, you know, and it's really true through education, you know, because the majority of Nubians, I feel that they're not really in touch with themselves, you know, because if they was, then we wouldn't be in this situation.
Okay then, Sanj, from Peckham.
Okay.
Enough respect, sis, for calling in, yeah?
Okay, peace, and I'll listen on.
Yes, nice one, sis, yeah?
Bye.
Okay, bye for now. Okay, London Town. Brother Alex from Movement for Justice in the studio, London Town. Okay, we just had Sister Sandra there from Peckham phoning in. Long time listener, enough respect, Sandra. We just want to get some more calls on the town and just feel ya. Okay? Okay, we've got another live link. We're going to take this live link. Hello, Genesis Radio.
Hello, it's Jennifer from Hackney.
Okay, Jennifer, how you doing, sis?
I'm not too bad, thanks.
Okay.
I just want to say I've got it's nothing to do with what you're talking about in the studio, but it's about the reception. It's really bad down here in Hackney.
Yes, sis.
Can't really pick anything up. Just a really bad hissing noise. But I did pick up a few things that the gentleman was saying, and I totally agree with what he's saying. I can see every day what's going on the street. It's like a lot of the youth, I can only put it down to frustration. They haven't got an outlet to really, you know, say how they're feeling.
Yeah.
They go around in little packs and they keep things within, you know, that group.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, we're almost like under siege.
Mm-hmm.
Not only with the youth, with all the generations.
That's right.
From when the kids are in nursery school, it starts from there.
That's right.
All the way up to the elderly who are, you know, they're basically going through a really rough time.
That's right.
And I feel we all do need to get together. It's been said time and time again.
Yeah.
But I can see the unity happening within the community.
Yeah.
I do recognise that, it's hard to get through to some people, but the perseverance is there and the willing, you know, it's all there.
Yeah, I see that. That's so true.
It's like an upward struggle, you know. We're always trying to. We just want to get on. We don't have to. We don't want to struggle every day. Life is a struggle, you know, with work, bills, everything. But to have an added pressure on you. You know, it's really hard, but I'm just glad that we have got some good people out there, like all the people who work for Genesis, all the listeners, and you.
That's right.
I'm just so happy that we have a station like this, but I'm frustrated at the moment because I can't hear anything.
Okay. Can you hear me, Jennifer?
Yeah, I can hear you over the phone, and I can hear you when I turn my radio up really loudly.
Okay.
But then the hissing noise gets louder as well.
I understand.
But I just want to say I'm with you all the way in spirit, in faith, and all the people in Hackney as well. Hackney at the moment is like, how can I put it? Our brothers are going down. Our brothers are going down, and the sisters, they're strong. Yeah, but there are some sisters out there who are letting us down, but I don't really want to go into that.
Yeah,
but I look around, I work in a local supermarket, and the way the brothers are treated, as soon as they walk through the store, you know, our own security, our black men, they just like, I don't know where they get their training from or they're brainwashed, but they just zoom in on these people.
Yes.
These people are struggling as it is. They can't find jobs.
That's right.
The jobs are there for some of them, but they're not going to be taken on.
No.
And I can imagine how hard it is for a strong black man to go to the government for money. That is horrible, and I know a lot of us are not built that way. We want to do things ourselves.
That's right. So, and we want pride and dignity that we deserve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think, you know, when you were saying before about people feeling frustrated, I think it's so true, because there seems to be a big vacuum out there, you know what I mean? You know, people know, you know, we know what the situation and how we're affected, but it's kind of like, well, what's the next step? And a lot of our young people, and you're right, it's all ages, you know, because, and even people who are lucky enough to have jobs, because you know the racism in the workplace is so bad.
Oh, then I know it.
You know what I mean?
I'm in it.
You know, that's right. You know, I mean, and we're the first to get disciplined. You know what I mean? We're given the worst shifts. And the money's rubbish. You know, we're talked to like dogs.
And even when you know you are so much better in your job, and I'm including the manager, you can do that job with your eyes closed.
That's right.
When they recognise that fact, they do everything to keep you down.
That's right. They feel threatened, don't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you don't even want their job. Yeah. You're just getting on with it.
Yeah, to get your money in the end of the day.
You're not proving nothing to no one.
That's right.
You're just getting on with it. Me, I'm a single woman with 2 boys. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I'm going through a really hard time with my 2 boys. Not with them against me, but with the surroundings. My younger son, he's in school.
How old is he?
He's 9.
Okay.
He's 9, but he's a very forward 9.
Yeah.
In school, they've said that they want to put him on special needs, yeah? Now they're forgetting, I went to school in this country.
Yeah.
They're saying things have changed, yeah? But I know from they put you on that special needs, that follows you around, yeah?
Yes.
And you are like, you know, before a teacher has even met you, they've read your report, and their mind is like...
It's made up.
Look, we're dealing with like a really troublesome character, you know? They don't know how to handle black children. They don't know how to. A lot of black children are very expressive. They can express themselves, and they use their hands. They you know, they have features. They use them, you know? A lot of people find that as being aggressive.
But you know what it's like. I mean, I was, you know, we're talking about the, you know, civil rights movements in history, and you know, in America before the civil rights movement that was built, all this, you know, the problems were there. People were frustrated. You know, people didn't feel there's no way out. It's just despair in people, like God, and they end up fighting each other. And I think when the civil rights people started to organize collectively against whatever was happening, firstly you were winning things, right? And then I think people then had a motive in life, and a lot of the, you know, it gave dignity and pride to particularly young people, and gave them a focus in life, and that we can work collectively together and win. And all the other things about, you know, black pride came out of that. It was because people started to organize, and I think at the moment that's what needs to be done. And there's so many things, you know, there's so many things, you know, every part of your life, you know, from the moment you're born to the moment you die, you're affected, and it's going to take, you know, but really what I'm saying is what you should be thinking, and other people are listening who can perhaps hear, right, hopefully, should be thinking, well, what can, you know, what is there something I can do? How can I motivate me, my family and my neighbours to do something that, you know, to kind of bring us together, to deal with something that's happening in our area, you know what I mean?
Well, I feel some people in our community are in that position to do that, but they don't take the opportunity. Like, a lot of these dance halls, they seem to get the venues when they want to make a bit of money. Like, they've got all these different sayings for dances, like what they have now. Like, if you're a Gemini, it's a Gemini dance, wear as little as you can, all these different phrases for dances, which are all basically rubbish. You walk in there and it's the same thing, even though I don't go out, but that's what I hear anyway.
I know.
So they get hold of these venues, and what do? Just play records all night, and when that could be used, the same people who are organising them can say, okay, let's put an hour aside and just talk about certain things, and then, you know, something.
Well, let me just say something to that. So, I mean, you know, I hear what you're saying, but all I'm saying is that, I mean, what we're trying to do is people need to do things whatever way they can, and the real issue is, okay, there's it says even what you're saying, and I do understand what you're saying, it's kind of, what can someone else do? You know, it's always what can someone else do? Why can't these town people do something? Why can't someone else do it? And I think we're going to turn that to, what am I going to do? You know, what am I going to do? Next time, you know, if you can say to yourself tonight, okay, next time I see a person being stopped by the police, for example, you know, I'm going to, you obviously judge the situation, but I'm not going to walk on by. I might just give the guy, I know you do, yeah, okay, that's good. You know, I mean, that's good.
sometimes I feel stupid just standing there, you know.
You know,
because I'm
man.
standing there and I'm thinking, look at me, I'm just me once. These two big officers,
Yes.
a young black guy, and I'm standing there, totally being ignored, you know what I mean? But I can see the black guy is kind of grateful that I'm there.
You know what I mean? Just the eye contact.
Sorry to call our brothers guys, I'm sorry. I know Genesis is adamant against that, sorry. But I see my brother standing there, and he's appreciative that I'm there, but at the same time, I'm being totally ignored. Now, I know if I was a different person, you know, at least I would have been approached in somewhere. An officer would have said to me, you know, can I help you? You know, are you a relative? But the total...
and one
you know
thing,
what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but one of the things you could have is that, okay, we've got another call going in at the moment, so hold on a second.
Okay.
Jennifer, I'll speak to you later. You keep this thing up, but talk to your neighbours, and you know what I mean, and your kids that are, you know, at school, talk to the other parents who's trying to organise something there, you know what I mean, because we can't tolerate that, but good luck, okay? Good night, Jennifer.
All right, thanks very much. Bye.
Okay, respect there to Sister Jennifer from Hackney. Her call, sisters them coming in. Calls are coming in and sisters them. Okay, Black Spiritual Metaphysical Regeneration Show, Brother Alex in the studio. Okay, from Movements for Justice. And we just want to be taking your calls, basically. We have to say, would the brothers got something to say quickly? Would the brothers got something to say there? Okay, London Town, once again, the live number is 07977884840. That's 07977884840. Yeah, once again, brother, yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes even being in a situation where you see people being stopped and everything like that, yeah, enough men would walk on, they don't want to stop, because they feel at the end of the day that the police might even end up taking them away.
I understand that, and firstly, I mean, what we have is, I don't walk on by cards, so, you know, what I've done, and a lot of people have done that, is even if you just you just hand the guy that's been stopped the little bus card. It has a solicitor that will come out to the police station. They're independent. You know what I mean? Just that. If you just do that, even if you do what the woman Jennifer just spoke, just came on, the sister just spoke, stand, and give eye contact to the person being stopped. That's general. Because I know when I've been stopped and someone's looked me in the eye, and they you checked each other, you know what's going on. And I just feel a bit more confident. But the other thing is you stop other people that are around you. You know what I mean? And you find out, in fact. Everyone feels that, and sometimes I feel that. Oh, if I say anything, they might turn on me. But it never happens. I mean, obviously, you've got to stay calm. There's no way you carrying on, etc. You've got to stay calm. But even if you're standing away from it, so they can't say you're interfering, but you're standing and watching them, those police officers know someone else is watching them. You know what I mean? And they're going to feel slightly under pressure. And once you stop, someone else stops. They go, what's going on with that person? Because everyone's waiting for the first person to do something. And what we're saying is you should be the first. So obviously you've got to judge a situation. You're not saying, each situation is slightly different. And I think we as a community are because we have to have, fight for every little thing in our life. We're very good at judging situations and working out what we can do and what we can't do. But it doesn't help. And I think really we want people to take these don't walk on by cards. These don't walk on by cars. If they carry them with you, even if you just pass it to someone who's been stopped, you don't have to say a word. That's something that makes a connection, and that person feels, well, I'm not here by myself facing these police officers. Now, if you want these cards, you need to take this number down, and we'll send them to you or whatever, and we'll be in Brixton or in Haringey on Saturday afternoons. But it's 07957 696 636. That's 07957 696 636. Now I understand we're having a bit of trouble with some reception, but anyone, but the phone line is clear, and it's important that we, use tonight, to kind of start the reasoning, to start to what's going to motivate our community to get, to get out and start to come to be into collectiveness. Now, you can give this number a call, 07977884840, and you'll be live on it. And whatever thing you want to say, any observations or any questions or your own experiences, about police harassment, or whether you was in Brixton on the day or in Brick Lane or Soho on the day when the bombing happened, and what was your observations and what your thoughts are. It's very important because really there's been a conspiracy amongst the mainline media, you know, not to discuss this. And it is only places like Genesis where the community gets a chance to deal with the reality of stuff and start to think, we're free here, there's no restrictions, we can say what we want, we can reason in a free way, and we need to take our conversations, our discussions about our lives out of our homes and into the community, so the whole community is part of the discussion, so we don't have individual discussions in our front rooms, which I know is happening. Everyone's talking about it, you know. I know after the bomb, but people, racism in our minds all the time now, you know. But we've got to take that out from discussion and put it into action and into practice.
Okay, Brother Alex there, well said. Okay, London Town, it's all about you, brothers and sisters, yeah, who's getting if you get the reception clear, I'll say, give us a call. You know what I mean? If not London Town, we can just end the show here now, yeah. Or we just basically put a tape in. It's been the brothers and the brothers have got to say what they've got to say. And that's it, yeah? Because really, London Town, you know what I mean? It's all about you. Okay, 07977884840 gets you straight through to the live link, brothers and sisters. We're saying about what we've heard so far, London Town, what the brothers been saying about the BNP and this brother David Copeland and, you know, the police and covering up the whole situation. What do you say about London Town? And you got no thoughts on that? Okay, anyway, once again, London Town, the Black Spiritual Mental Physical Regeneration Show, Genesis 91.6 on your FM dial. And we don't scare to bring up no subject matter on this station or this show here. We just deal with all subject matters, and we just come raw, basically, London Town, yeah? No holds bar. And for you to just say what you got to say. Okay, we lost that call. If that call would like to call back again, 07977884840. And just hear your views. Because it's all about all of us. I don't want to sound like I'm, you know what I mean, getting on. You don't know what to do. You know what it's all about. You know exactly what time it is. Yeah? I'm saying phone and just say whatever's on your mind, yeah? Okay, Brother Alex, you got anything else to say, bro?
Okay, there's another call coming in. Let's take this call.
Hello, Genesis Radio. Hello, Genesis Radio. Okay, we missed that call, Brother Alex.
No, I think people are, some people can hear this, and that's very important. What we're trying to do is have a whole series of themed discussions over the next couple of weeks. Well, over the summer, really, to be honest. So and I think this is the start of that, and we'll start, and we want to try and have meaningful debate and discussion, and also we want it to a situation where people, they can call and air their views, but also it's connecting people up. So if you're in a situation, an area where you're having a particular problem with either police or whatever issue, that we can use this as a way of trying to get you to help give you assistance in organising your local area against this. Hold on, we'll just take another call.
Hello?
Hello, Genesis Radio. What's your name, sis?
Jonah.
And where you calling from, sis?
Baptist.
Okay, nice one, sis.
Right, I just want to say that black people are their own worst enemy, because instead of getting together, they're fighting each other and wanting to be with white people.
Yeah, well, the 11 deaths over North London, sister, yeah, and plus, right, the killings in the community that's been happening in South London and everything, yeah, it kind of contradicts the whole situation. Because when we start talking about BNP and all this and that, yeah, and our own communities murdering each other, you know what I mean? It's like a catch-22 situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're their own worst enemy. They can't get together and they can't help one another. They have to kill each other over money and whatever, instead of fighting together for the cause.
Fiona, it's Alex from the Movement for Justice. I actually, with a lot of respect, want to disagree with you. Disagree with that statement. I understand what you're saying, and there are instances that we know about, tragic instances where, you know, as what the previous caller, Jennifer, was talking about, where people feel so frustrated, the criminalisation of our community, things are happening. But I think our community's done very well. If you look at it, what's happened, the level of oppression and repression that we have suffered from the moment we're born, as Jennifer said, and the moment we die, and that we're still alive as a community. You know, if you look back some of the histories of the struggles we've had, the fights we've had, we've fought, and we've won very little, and people still fought. You know, everyone who's listening to this show, everyone in our community has to deal with racism by themselves every single day. and survived. Our community survived despite all the against us. And that gives me a sense that we're not our own worst enemy. We're not. I think, the examples we get, and it's very clear, the examples we get in the press, the murders and all this, and the gang running and all the other business that's been going on, they're publicised to give an image that the black community, it's an image to two people, to the black community, to say, look, you're all your own worst enemies, you can't do anything, all you can do is kill each other, so don't bother thinking about trying to deal with racism, just accept it. To the white community, it's saying, look, these black people, they're like savages, they're just murdering each other. But they never publicise the positive things that are going on. They never publicise, when people, don't walk on bikes. They've been doing that, we've been doing that. It happens all the time. You see it occasionally when people don't walk on. They never publicise when all the members of our community have got together and organised against something, or got something for their community, whatever little thing, petition, whatever little thing. The mother that's gone into the school and fought for the right of the education of her children, and have gone and dealt with the teachers and the school establishment, the workers that are working in these horrible jobs that have stayed there and have fought in different ways because they've been by themselves, and that's the kind of thing that's been going on that we don't hear about. And I just think I look at that and say, well, let's build on that. We've got to build on the positive. And that is not publicised. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, but I'm not going off like just the media. I mean, I've seen it for myself, and I've seen the community spirit die as well. There is the community spirit. I've died in some areas where there is a vast amount of black people's community spirit. I've died, so I'm not going off just the media.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't just listen to the media. After being it, and I've seen it for myself. I've seen black people killing off black people just for standing on the towers. I mean, there's a lot of positive, but there's a lot of negative too. Yeah. And what I'm trying to say is the negative should channel their energy into positive and do something.
Okay. Yeah, I do agree with that, actually. And it really is, how do we turn that negativeness, that frustration that people are feeling, and the way they turn on each other, how do we turn that into positiveness? Because at the moment, what's your thoughts about that?
I think education, there should be educating oneself and finding out about oneself instead of just money, money, money.
Yeah, okay. Let me just pass you on to another brother of mine, Victor.
Yeah, just to add to the conversation, I think the situation where you're finding this negativeness, I just want to say, we've gone through it tonight, the fact that there's been a lot of racism we have to face, and a lot of oppression that black people have had to face, and looking at education, how much education, like in the schools and so on, that we've been able to get, how much employment black people are able to get. Racism everywhere in this country that you have to go through, and things do happen, but it's because of the society we live in. And I think the only way we're going to change that is to start to build on that positive, in a sense, to continue the struggle. If people are going around bringing other people into the struggle against racism in this country, then less of those things are going to happen. People are going to feel less frustrated and feel more confident to challenge the racism they're feeling. But if we keep on going on about the negatives and doing nothing else about struggling, then those things will continue as far as they go. So my main point is that we have to struggle. We have to build struggle that happened in the States in the 60s and 70s in the civil rights movement, and that way there's going to be less people feeling frustrated, less people wanting to fight with each other. But we also have to remember that it's this society that creates those negatives. They don't just come out of the air. It's not just because somebody feels in his head, oh, I'm a bad guy and I'm going to go and murder somebody else, I'm going to go and kill them, or I'm going to go and do something. It's not just mental in their head that people feel they want to kill. It's because people have been given a reason to kill because they've been frustrated. They've not been able to get jobs. They've not been able to get things for their own lives. And I think we all have to address that as well.
Yeah, so but if they educate themselves about oneself, that's positiveness, and that can let them, even if they don't get a job, they can still feel positive and respect oneself. And if they respect oneself and feel good about oneself, they won't go around murdering their own.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say. They would more be up there for the fight against racism and everything.
Yeah, education's important, but unless you got, and I'm not against education. We're not against it. We have to fight that we get the proper education we're going to get. For our whole community, we've got to fight for that. But in a sense, it's not just simply... I mean, I can feel good in myself, you know what I mean? And I can feel, oh, I can read, or I can do this, and feel pride in myself. But unless, the life I'm living, the opportunities, unless they're given to me, then all the education doesn't mean a thing, you know what I mean? And I think we've got to combine, not just education, but we've got to... If we create a situation in our communities where people feel that we're looking after each other, we're trying to fight collectively to get all the opportunities that life should have to offer to us. We're challenging the roots of racism, which is the society we live under. Then I think the whole question of education, the whole question of employment comes along. And I do understand what you're saying about education, but the thing is, education by itself doesn't deal with the real, problems that we're facing, because I can be educated, but if I'm not going to get a job, if I can't get employment, if I'm going to be harassed on the streets every time I come out of my yard on the street by police officers, if the whole establishment is just pumping out racist propaganda and stereotyping, then education is not going to deal with that, and I'm going to feel even more frustrated. And I think those people, I understand those people in our community who are robbing off each other, fighting, etc. They got what's the alternative for them? We've got to give them an alternative. Look, you can direct your energies, and it's going to improve your life and improve your whole community, and that's the kind of perspective you have to give.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that mainstream education. I'm saying about education about their self, education about where they're from, education about their roots. I'm talking about things like that. And that will help them to love themselves and respect themselves. And if they love themselves and respect themselves, then they will want to do something in the community.
Okay,
because they will love everybody around them. They will love their community, and they will love black people, because they will respect black people. Because if you don't respect yourself and you don't love yourself, you ain't going to respect or love anybody else. And they have to find out about themselves so that they can respect themselves.
Okay, Sister Fiona, enough respect for your input there, yeah?
Yeah.
Enough respect, yeah?
Right.
Okay, nice one, Fiona, yeah?
Right.
All right, then. Okay, London Town, once again, the Black Spiritual Mental Physical Regeneration Show. We have Brother Alex from Movement for Justice in the house, London Town. So far, the sisters, them just calling Sister Fiona, our last caller. What do you think about what she was saying, London Town? Okay, what do you think about what Brother Alex said? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you disagree with the sister? Okay, London Town, phone in and your views. Okay, 079 7788 4840. That's 079 7788 4840. Okay, and you can just express yourself. Okay.
I mean, I understand what the sister was saying, but you know, I've had, and this goes beyond. I mean, obviously, it goes beyond the question of education. But I think one of the things that, you know, what's out. Okay, one of the things that being said, you know, that I think we need to challenge, in one sense, is that, you know, for example, like people say, kind of, and I'm not saying that the last caller is saying this. I'm just saying this generally, but that people say, kind of like that, you know, it's a matter if we, you know, change our views about ourselves and our pride, and I absolutely agree with that. And you know, pride doesn't come out of thin air. It's not a matter of how I think, because you know, if you look about black pride, people talk about black pride, and you look at, and that came from the 60s and the 70s. You know, it's when people started growing their afro and going natural. And calling each other brother and sisters and hugging each other, and, you know, on the street, talking to each other, and, you know, there's a real community spirit. But how did that happen? Because I'm interested in that, but I want to, how do we create that situation? Because we can, you know, it's not happening by itself. And it was because people came into the struggle. It created the conditions. People felt there was something positive to be proud about. You know, if you just see yourself, just you by yourself against the whole system, being beaten down every day, and you just all you can think about is how you can just survive the next day, then you ain't got time to even think about being, you know, about yourself, because you've got to think about what you're going to do the next day, how you're going to survive the afternoon, literally, for some people. It is an economic question. You know, I mean, one of the things we did was, you know, the civil rights movement, when we talk about the civil rights movement, we keep going on about it, it's because the civil rights movement is something that can create the conditions that can deal with all of our lives. Because one of the things we stood in, I have to say, we stood in the local council elections a couple of years ago in Angeltown, Loughborough Estate in Brixton. And one of the things we were saying was that, you know, for example, the local council, we're going to create, you know, for us, it was a fight against racism, but it was also about economics, about local employment. You know what I mean? And I'll come back to that later to take this call.
Hello, Genesis Radio.
Hi, good evening. Caroline from Walworth.
Okay, Caroline. A question for the brothers?
Yeah, I was listening to your show. I couldn't pick it up too good still.
Okay.
Everyone that's been calling in has been talking about what are we going to do, how we're going to do it. I'm thinking, well, why not set up coaches or minibuses for people, venues or pick-up points, like the brother you said he's from, what is it, the Movement
for Justice.
Right, I've never heard of that, and he was saying there's a meeting being held somewhere.
Yeah, we have regular weekly meetings, but there's a you know, about this, you know, the police videoing people on the streets. Did you hear that clearly? Oh, okay. There was I'll just tell you about that. What's happening is that the local police in Lambeth are going around in a van with a video camera, and when they see someone who's had a previous criminal record jumping out and sticking a video camera in their face, literally, and harassing them, and basically trying to get them off the streets, and that's how they solve street crime. And these people, that you know about criminalisation. You can be convicted of street crime and be innocent a lot of times, but also the whole criminalisation process that's going on. But these people, you know, the police are not looking at them for current crimes. They've been sentenced, done their time, whatever, and so what we're doing is that this is harassment of the community, and we can't accept it. So we're saying the way we're going to deal with it is if the whole community comes out and makes its feeling heard.
Right. Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Sure.
But what we need to do is, like you're going to hold a meeting for that, yeah? Because each and every one of us is either a victim or we suffer it.
That's right. That's right.
So, but there's not enough input. Because if I wasn't listening to the station, I wouldn't know nothing about it. And also, there's so far been dear sisters that's been ringing in, and most of our sisters have children.
That's right.
Or some might not have transport. But if there was arrangements made for pick-up points or minibuses and that, or a little fee charged or something, then we wouldn't have no excuse not to attend the meetings. So progress can start making. We know what's going on and start to do things about it. Like I say, we're all affected by it. So maybe that's one way of, you know, meeting up and communicating. It's different, you know, if we can organise certain minibuses and things so everybody can meet at a pick-up point and get home safely and not have to worry about, you know, certain things, then we can hear what's going on, know what's going on, and try and do something about it.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that is exactly what I want to hear, and it's like, it is that kind of thing. I'll give you the details of this meeting. It's the police consultative meeting, you know, where they consult with the community, and we're just going to take over the meeting and make it like. But what we'll do, I mean, if you got some people, you know, that want to come.
Really, it's like we all, like you say, we all sit down in our front rooms and we're all talking about it because we're all feeling it, and who feels it knows it. So we're all talking it, but it's. The frustration is what to do about it. Like I said, the police ain't sitting down and the government ain't sitting down waiting for us to do something.
That's right.
When we find out something's going on, we sit and wait on them. We're supposed to be on the move all the time, you know? You got the appropriate name for your organisation still.
Movement for Justice. You know what it's called? Movement for Justice by any means necessary. That's our title.
Exactly. That's for real. That is how it goes.
Listen, what I want to do is, I mean, can I give you a number? Because if you want some people in your area to come to this meeting, for example, we can help you arrange transport. There's no question, and you can, I mean, in a sense, we can arrange that or help you, you know, with other people in the area. So let me just give you have you got a pen?
Yeah.
Okay, take this number, right? And, where's the number? There it is. There's two numbers I'm going to give you. One is 07957.
Hold on there, pen ain't working.
No problem. And why Caroline's getting a pen, anyone else should be looking for a pen as well, and take this opportunity. I'll have a little break.
Right, so it's 07951.
07957.
Oh, 957, yeah.
Yeah, 696
696,
636.
636, yeah. Is that one for the Don't Walk On By?
That's right, yeah. It's one.
Yeah.
Her name's Karen. She's the person who has that phone, and that's our number we give out. So you can give out a number a call. The meeting is at 6 p.m. at Lambeth Town Hall a week on Monday, and we'll arrange transport. If there's people that want to come down, talk to them this week. We'll sort it out. We'll arrange it. Transport down there, and that's the kind of thing.
That's what we need, because it's like we're all on our own. Like, that's part of the frustration. We know it. We know what's going on. We want to do something, but can't find the contacts to, or the means of, but the communication with the radio station now.
Yeah,
that, we shouldn't have an excuse for that.
And also, I just think it's, it's not, once we, people say, okay, I want to do this, actually you'll find that there's a lot of people in our community that have got the things that we need, and we're not rich or wealthy, but some people got cars that we can arrange, and you're surprised how quick it's arranged once people are motivated, you know what I mean? I think that's just so, in a sense, this is what I want to hear, in a sense, is that you've got up and said, well, I want to, if I want to come to me, I know people might want to come to these things, but we've got to arrange transport, you know what I mean? I know.
That's it.
You know
and really, all this, when they talk about why do people walk on by from police stopping our brothers and so,
that's right.
a lot of it is fear. I think what Briggy did say, they're frightened of getting arrested themselves or whatever. But if we can hold certain meetings where certain certain rights and things that we need to know how to handle ourselves.
That's right.
Because at the end there, self-preservation is the first law.
Yeah.
That's what we all...
That's right, and one of the things...
Because the police know, and it's like you say, someone is standing there watching them, they're aware of it.
Yeah.
So you know that by you being there must mean something.
It does, yeah, and it is true, and I do think, obviously knowing that we have very little rights, but knowing the little rights we do know gives you a bit of confidence, because I know that when I... And also, when I go and, when I, stop when someone's been stopped, and I'm seeing the police know who I am, so they're a bit wary of messing with me, so I can take some liberties. I just walk in and say, excuse me, move out the way, and how are you stopping this person? I want your name and I'll speak to you. I carry on bad, but that's not necessary. But even if you just stand aside, like the other person did, stand aside, you've got to judge your situation, and if you're with a few people, call people around with you, but even if you stand on the other side of the road, you can even stand...
Even if, on the other hand, even if certain confrontation take place, and it happened on a regular, then they know something's being done. We're not just standing by and allowing it to happen. So some other changes we'll have to make.
Exactly.
But it's not going to be easy. Everyone expects it easy, They don't want to get involved, or they don't want to get arrested or whatever. But freedom wasn't easy.
No, it isn't. But when it happens, it's sweet, But it's a start, you know what I mean? If we just need to start the process off, and it needs people like yourselves to do, to start the process, and you'll be surprised once it starts going. It starts to become more often, and people feel. See, the thing is, when you stop, even if you're not, you judge the situation, then other people are watching what's going on, and they're thinking, well, that person stops, so next time I see someone,
that's it.
Perhaps I might stop as well. You know what I mean? That person's... other people watching you. You find that other people watching you, watching the police. And you survived it. You've not been arrested. The person, the police have backed down and gone in their car and driven off. And people start talking and think, God, it doesn't work. It's, cause my fear is not real. You know what I mean?
Changes can be made.
I know, you're great. I just think, that these... And it's people like you with what you're saying, and the people that are listening are going to be the real leaders. This is what we want. This is the kind of movement that's needed. People like you who've got, are thinking about what can be done, in your own different ways.
I'm not sitting there to judge no caller or criticize no caller, because when I listen, it seems like we all have the same thing, the frustration of we know what's going on, but not doing nothing about it, and a lot of us want to, but don't know how, or, we want to meet up, but can't, ways of linking.
And I think the transport thing is a very good idea, you know what I mean? Going to things, and getting childcare, because a lot of people got childcare, and we can't afford babysitters and all that business.
You know, if you have a little creche or something, and then have the meeting in another room or whatever.
Yeah. We're trying to organise that. I mean, we've taken about, because we have weekly meetings in Brixton on a Thursday evening, and we've got to start. You know, we've got to talk about how we can do that. You know what I mean? But also, you could organise, you know, where you live, because what we're trying to do is that, you know, where you live. If there's a, you know, in your neighbourhood, if there's a few people in your neighbourhood having, you know, a gathering perhaps once a week to talk about what's going on in your area, and then we could send people down to that, you know, to help you facilitate yourself, you know what I mean? Because we want to make it where people are organising in their own areas, you know what I mean?
Communication is the key.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, well, you gotta go off. Listen, you definitely call that number, right?
Yes,
definitely call that number, and we'll sort things out for that, right?
I will do. Okay then.
You keep safe.
Just keep up the struggle then.
Oh, yeah. Same with you.
Yeah?
Good night,
okay,
right?
Then. All right.
Bye.
Okay, thank you there, Sister Caroline. Okay, once again, London Town, the Black Spiritual Physical Regeneration Show. Brother Alex from Movement for Justice in the house. Okay, be a sisters phoning in. Be a respect to the sisters them. To the brothers them. No nuts, G's, no glory. Okay, once again, 079 7788 4840 07977884840 gets you straight through the studio. Last 15 minutes of the show, London Town. Yeah, we just want to hear what you have to say, London Town, your view about the whole situation. Okay. Anyway, once again, sisters, just keep on calling, man. Left the man, okay, Brother Alex.
Okay. And as I was saying before, was that we're going to have a series of programs over the summer, and we're going to have, you know, like people coming in, and we're trying to, you know, like different themes each week, so we can, you know, create things. So we're letting you know on the 11th. This is 2 weeks, a week on next Sunday. Have you know, the people at M25, you know, those 3 black guys that have been languishing in prison for 10 years, accused of a crime that they didn't commit. You know, it was, they were accused of the M25 murders, the robberies and murders, and even the witnesses, some of the witnesses, and one of the victims that was robbed was saying that it was 2 white guys and a black guy, and that these 3 black guys get sent down. And you know, there's a lot more details to how injustice are there. They have been fighting in prison for 10 years for justice. That's meant they got no privileges. They've been split up and moved around to different jails. You know, they got no probation. You know, it's the same as, like, you know, people know Winston Silcott. You know what I mean? He's the same situation. He's going to be out next year because he's at the full hope. I think he's filling his whole sentence, which is 15 years. Anyway, the family and the three men that are inside have won finally through a right of appeal in the court. Well, that's going to be in months' time. And what they've done is this week is applied for bail pending the appeal hearing, and they're going to get a result on the 5th of July. So, is it 5th of July? That's right. Yeah, the 5th of July. They're going to get a result on the 5th of July. So, the sister